What's going on, Tottenham community? My name is Leo Coys. I'm part of Colorado Spurs, and I'm a diehard Tottenham Hotspur fan. This is the Mile High Hotspur. Welcome. Thank you for joining this stream. Um, Real quick, you guys, if you haven't already, go ahead and drop us a follow on Mile High Hotspur on Instagram. Go ahead and drop us a follow on Twitter on Mile High Hotspur. And of course, we are now on Patreon at patreon.com/Mile High Hotspur. And this, just to remind you guys, this is Denver's very own Tottenham Hotspur podcast, the Mile High Hotspur with Leo Coys and the homie Parker Coys, who today couldn't join us. But thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you guys, I'd like to shout out Clayton Shearman, the big homie Clayton Shearman. Thank you very much. THFC Till I Die, United Spurs of America, the Three Spurs Boys, the Irish Hotspur, Flat Cap Euro Talk, Talking Ball, at Digital Spurs. Go and check out at Digital Spurs. Colorado Spurs, Milwaukee Spurs, the Charlotte Spurs, Mobile Spurs, Memphis Spurs, Minneapolis Spurs, Maine Spurs, Tucson Spurs, and the Austin Spurs. And I'm sure I've missed out a lot of people, so don't get mad. Shout out to you as well. You guys, I hope everybody's doing good. I hope everybody's been having a nice week. It is Wednesday here in the Mile High City. It is raining, a rainy day, like they like to say. I do have some people lined up that might make it in. If not, this would just be a brief stream. As I said, my homie Parker couldn't join us, so this will probably just be a short stream. Um, but depends if we do end up getting some guests, we might make it a longer stream. But let's just get right into this, you guys. I hope everybody's doing good. Thank you guys for joining in. There's been a couple of rumors that have been going around. I know you guys have heard them. It's inevitable not to hear rumors related to Tottenham Hotspur. Um, One of them that I wanted to share with you guys was Antonio Conte. For some reason, there seems to be this rumor of him going back to Juventus. I know that they're on a bad form. I think they just lost on the weekend to the bottom of the table. And so there's always going to be controversy when that happens. Um, do I think this rumor is growing any legs? I would hope not. It does worry me because I'm pretty sure if I'm Antonio Conte, I would love to be back in my homeland, um, especially with the team that I've won with before. It's hard to tell exactly what's going on through this man's head as he's seems to be very quiet about his business and he doesn't like to share a lot about what's really going on. All this is just rumors that circulate. He was pictured in Turin walking around. They made it seem like he was just wandering around the streets. I'm sure that's not the case. There's also been rumors that he had a meeting with the Juventus board or something like that. You guys, let me know how you feel about that. Is that something that worries you? Is that something that should cause some concern for us? Um, like I said, I don't want to believe too much into the rumors. They are just that. They are just rumors. But we never know. It could be something more serious. We'll find out. Only time will tell. He's yet to sign an extension with us, which is the thing that makes me worry. But there's so far no deadline saying he needs to sign an extension yet. I think Spurs can pick up the option for a further year. Um, so, all right, you guys, I'm going to see if I could pull up some of these articles here that I have ready for us. And one of them was, let me see here. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this one up here. Hopefully, you guys could see this. Sorry, you got to excuse all this junk that comes with all of these articles here. Let me just zoom in here, close that out. So yeah, look, it says Antonio Conte open to shock return to Juventus if the Italian giants sack Allegri, with Tottenham boss yet to extend his contract in North London beyond the end of the season. And this is by Ash Rose for Mail Online. Antonio Conte has been linked with the sensational return to Juventus should the club sack under fire boss Max Allegri. Pressure has increased on Allegri after Juventus suffered a shock 1-0 defeat to the bottom of the table Monza at the weekend. The Italian side have also lost both of their opening games in the Champions League. The Turin club currently sit 8th in the Serie A after 2 wins from their first 7 matches. Their poor start to the campaign has fueled speculation that the club might look to replace Allegri, who has been the subject of criticism from fans. Well, that does make some sense. I would understand the criticism coming from the fans. Definitely would not. I mean, it's all just rumors. Let's hope that that's all it is, right, guys? Now, Um, we go back in here. However, the 53-year-old said in August that he was content in North London and willing to stay for the long haul if the club continued to progress. Look at this great bunch of players here. Um, we know on the weekend that this gentleman, Rodrigo Bentancur, got his goal. Eric Dyer got a goal. Tottenham have made a superb start to the season and are undefeated in the Premier League. How does that sound, you guys? We're undefeated in the Premier League. Things have certainly progressed on the pitch for the Spurs this season, with the club unbeaten so far in the Premier League and only a point off leaders, the Filth. Nonetheless, the Italian has previously said that he has unfinished business in Turin and remains Juventus director Pavel Neves, excuse me, number one choice to replace Allegri if he were to be sacked. So Paolo Nedved, ex-Juventus player and now Juventus director, has a strong uh, admiration for Antonio Conte. That seems to be the only reason why this would worry me. Conte managed Juventus between 2011 and 2014, won 3 Serie A titles before he dramatically fell out with the club chief Andrea Agnelli after feeling he wasn't backed in the transfer window. Well, that just dampens it a little bit, right? Um, Paulo Nedved gonna make a push for him. I would thought that maybe if it was, it was Zinedine Zidane, is some candidates that are being named over there too. Hell, for all I care, let them get Mauricio Pochettino. That way we can keep hold of Antonio Conte. But you guys, should we really be reading into this too much? Is it just, you know, are these just rumors to kind of plant a seed into Antonio Conte? Is it something like the Harry Kane Bayern Munich rumors that just don't go away? They're just going to be lingering. You guys, let me know how you feel about that. I myself, I'm a really big Antonio Conte supporter. I would be devastated if he were to just up and leave like that. Could I see it happening? Of course, because you've just learned to expect these things from our boss, but hopefully that there's changing. Something else I wanted to pull up here and share with you guys. Um, our 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 manager, the one we're just talking about, about him leaving. Why is this just gonna ruin it? Well, that's just probably gonna ruin that. Um, Anyways, it was saying how Spurs and Antonio Conte are interested in Victor Osimhen. Um, but for some reason now it's just wanted to just be in the way. Of course, Victor Osimhen from Napoli. You guys, let me know how you feel about that. The article went on to say that he could be a potential target for Tottenham to replace Kane one day, for a long-term replacement. He is a goal scoring machine right now. He is actually a pretty good player. I know I don't mean to compare this FIFA to the real world, but when I do play FIFA, he definitely he is a baller. He's got good potential, and his ratings go up pretty good. Now, you know, does that then cross over to real life? Who knows? A lot of those times, that's just uh makeshift stuff, in FIFA for sure. Um, So again, like I said, the Harry Kane to Bayern Munich stuff is still around, and so the fact that we might be looking into something like a Victor Osimhen, or so I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry, Osimhen. Um, it definitely helps us, the fact that we're always going to be looking for a long-term replacement of Harry Kane. Um, so that's always good. Let me see. I have another article here popped up that hopefully we'll be able to see. Another one about our coach here. Um, it says Tottenham. This is actually from Jake Sanders of Give Me Sport. He says Conte is a big fan of highly rated academy product at Hotspur Way. If I was to wait 5 seconds and let you guess, who would you think he's talking about? Conte's a big fan of a highly rated academy product at Hotspur Way. Um, let's find out who he's talking about. Tottenham star Oliver Skip could get his chance to impress after the international break, according to journalist Paul Brown. The midfielder hasn't played a minute this season since recovering from a foot injury, but Brown reckons his game time will increase when the busy schedule ramps up next month. You guys, we do have a lot of games coming up. We're gonna actually start having a cup game now against Nottingham Forest coming up in a few weeks. We have our Champions League games and we have our Premier League games. So the fixtures is definitely true. Definitely something that's going to be happening. The 22-year-old missed the final 4 months of last term with a pelvic injury before a foot problem kept him out for the first four Premier League games this season. But Skip, described as a highly rated by Daniel Fark, returned to the squad for the draw at West Ham last month, providing Antonio Conte with another option at midfield. That's interesting. I didn't know he was back for that game. However, the Italian has so far preferred Rodrigo Bentancur and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg as his two regular starters, with summer signings Yves Bissouma next in the pecking order. That could soon change, though, with Spurs playing 13 games in just over 40 days, starting with the North London derby at Arsenal on Saturday in a week, which could force Conte to utilize his squad. Well, that's blatantly obvious, right? I mean, it's he's gonna have to rotate his squad. He's gonna have to rotate his his midfield for sure. We're gonna have to rotate the front line, and we're also gonna have to rotate our back line. Um, I'm interested to see how he will put Skippy in there. I'm interested to see if Skippy is going to be used alongside Basuma. Guys, what are your preferred midfield options, especially if we do end up trying a 5-3-2 or the 3-5-2, different formations. That way we'll be able to get a three midfield pair in there, or trio, not pair. Um, big up Leo from Bobby K. Big up to you. Big up to you, Bobby K, and big up to Brian Daigle. I know you guys are out there in the streets of Toronto running amok, so I just wanted I'm glad you stopped by. I want to say what's up, and I hope that you guys ain't causing a lot of trouble out there for sure. Seems like we do have one of our guests here available to come on. Um, let me just make sure he's ready to come on. Um, but yeah, again about Skippy, I would definitely love to see how he comes in, how he responds, and how fit he is. Honestly, that would be pretty neat to see a trio of Skippy with either Basuma and Bentancur, or Hoiberg, however it is that has to go. Definitely would be something to watch for. Because like he said, we are gonna have a big fixture pile up here in a couple of weeks. It starts off with the North London Derby. About the North London Derby, I just wanted to comment. But before I do, I'll bring on one of the Tottenham community's most positive people that we have. Definitely, he's very, very shy uh, to give his opinion, so it's going to be hard to crack the shell with him today. I'm not sure if he's making his debut on the channel or not. I want to say not, but if he is, we're gonna try and pop the cherry, and we're gonna try and see if we could get any words out of this man. Like I said, he's very shy and he's very positive. So, without further ado, I want to add to the stream my homie, my Canadian homie, Scott M.
Hey, how's it going, Leo? Yeah, I usually don't like to share any opinions, and I'm a little bit reserved in my comments, especially when it comes to player ratings. So I'm just gonna throw my camera off because I'm holding my phone up, and it's easier if I just throw it down. So I'm not trying to be rude. It just makes it that much
You're all
easier.
right.
So
You're all right. Well, thank you for that quick that brief period of letting us see you. I think I've seen you like four times in my life, so I'm grateful for another for another opportunity to see you, bro. Um,
And it isn't my
so
first time. I
Scott,
was
man, how
on
you
with you
doing,
and
brother?
Parker before. I'm good. I'm good. I don't know if
Y-
you heard. I've been on with you and Parker one time, just a quick like 15-minute pop in when you guys had a show
Yeah,
when we first met. I wanted to make sure I got to say hi to both you guys, support the channel. So second time I've been on the
yeah,
show,
yeah.
and I'm doing well. You know, international breaks a little bit better for me now because Canada's actually kind of got a quality team going. So I'm actually excited to watch the games. Whereas in the past, Canada's been pretty terrible. So to be honest, I haven't really followed Canada that much over my lifetime. Just kind of a new fan. So it's kind of cool to
Yeah.
actually have a team to support now rather than just kind of hoping to wait. Even though the games are meaningless, right? It's still kind of fun once you have somebody to support rather than just waiting for the club to start back up. So
No,
yeah,
that
I'm
is a
doing
good
well.
point, Scott. That is a good point, bro. I'm glad you're doing well. Um, it's yeah, from my point of view, I don't necessarily watch CONCACAF just because for me, like the competition has always been miles apart, from like what I'm used to watching in the Premier League and Champions League. And so I mean, not to get off topic or nothing like that, but now that we were talking about that, um, you did mention, now that you guys do have something to look forward to. The Canadian team has been getting better, right?
Yeah, and I think I understand when you say CONCACAF because that's the same thing. Like it's been so poor, but I think like we're seeing with both you and me, being North American fans, the game's growing a lot, right? And that's helping.
Yep.
I think that's helping with CONCACAF. We are starting to get better. Um, I know people often like to rag on the U.S. team, but the fact is that there's a lot of quality players now coming out of the U.S. It's a quality
Yeah.
team, and Canada's the same way. So yeah, it is. We have I see Bobby there in the chat, and he might know a lot about it like I do. And the Canadian team is very strong. The starting 11, where we're really lacking is the depth. So we have some top end guys who are really good. Alfonso Davies, obviously, right, playing for Bayern Munich. He's one of the top left backs in the world. But we do have some other quality players. Jonathan David, he's playing in France, and we're starting to get a lot more guys who are playing over in Europe and some of the better teams. So it's exciting, right? Because I like to be patriotic and I'm going to support Canada. But when we're 85th in the world and we're kind of, we're struggling to beat countries that have, a million people, it's kind of tough to get really ramped up for those games. But now that we're going to the World Cup, we got there, we qualified on our own top of CONCACAF. It's great. And it's fun to support. And not that I want to be a bandwagon fan, but like I said, it's tough. It's tough when you're watching your team playing like the Cayman Islands, and they're and you're wondering if you're going to win or
Yeah.
not. That's kind of a crazy. It's kind of crazy to try
Well,
to
I've
do that. So
I know the United States and even Mexico for that matter have had issues playing against the Canadian teams lately. I know that much, that they are getting better and they are having a lot more teams. I mean, a lot more players in foreign clubs. So yeah, man, big up to the Canadian football. Do you have a favorite team in the MLS that's Canadian or no? Or do you not watch that?
no, I don't. Just because where I live, there's no team around there, and
Yeah,
Toronto is kind of
too
Toronto
far.
for a lot of Canadians is kind of they think they're the most important place in the whole universe. They think they're the center of the world. So I tend not to support anything Toronto. And then yeah, the other one, the actual closest to me is probably Seattle. Seattle and Vancouver is about
Okay.
the same distance from me. But so I don't follow the MLS. I don't have an MLS team. Certainly not one of the Canadian ones. No, I wouldn't follow any of them.
Okay. Well, I just put the signal out to San Francisco. I'm hoping maybe we could get a response. I think this is a perfect time to add our next guest. So we're just gonna go ahead and bring our next guest to the stream.
Hey boys.
Cubed, what's
How's it
going on?
going?
How you doing?
Hi. Uh-oh. I guess your stream got downgraded by a few notches the moment this came on.
Nah, don't worry about it. What are you talking about? So I put the bat signal up for you, Cubes. It's over the Golden Gate Bridge right there.
Thank you. Wow, I feel so special. I gotta come
Well,
on
I
here
mean,
more often. Wow.
I
When
wish I had like an intro or something, but I seen Will Stewart's intro for you, and he was like bigging you up while doing, and it was pretty awesome. Don't get me wrong, but I was like, yeah, I need to do like an intro for Cubed if she ever comes on, and so I mean, I figured maybe I'll put the bat signal up for you. Cubes, I hope everything is going good with you. We were just talking here about the some Canadian teams and how Scott's been watching or Scott's been getting blessed with a little bit of Canadian football. Are you a fan of MLS teams, Cubed?
I have very little to add to this conversation, so maybe it's just I jumped on for the Bants because I very much support the U.S.
Yeah,
In the national side of things, but I know very little about MLS. The only
that's
thing I know is
that's
like
fair.
I've gone to a few LA Galaxy games, and since I'm originally from LA, and that's the only MLS team I've gone to games for, I would support them if there's anybody, right? But I don't really like know the teams that much and follow them, so got very little to add.
No, yeah, you're cool. I'm the same way. I have very little to add to MLS or the USMNT, if for that matter too, even the Mexican national team. So you guys, before you guys jumped on, I was kind of going over some rumors. Of course, there's always going to be rumors, especially, when you're on top, the haters want to come out. And there's been some articles about maybe Conte being looked at by Juventus, and maybe even so Conte looking at Juventus. Scott, how do you feel about that? Should we be reading into this, or is this just something to kind of rattle our cage? Because I've heard a lot of times when we're doing good, they come out of the woodwork with this BS, and then almost to like rattle our cage. What is your opinion on that, Scott?
I'll just start out by saying I have heard some rumors. I don't know how reliable they are that Conte doesn't get along with Agnelli, who's like the Daniel Levy of Juventus. So if that's true, then I
Juventus.
guess everything I'm about to say doesn't make sense. But I think there is some reason to be concerned because they're struggling. I think Allegri's showing that he's not the man for them. They have high standards and they're not getting met. And the fact is we've seen. I know people are trying to say that Conte's happy, but I think when we've seen the comments he's made about Spence not playing Spence, we've brought a bunch of guys in, and he's slowly integrating, which may be because he wants players that know the system more. But the fact is if he got the players he wanted, if he brought in Bastoni, if he brought in top level players, he would be playing them. I'm sure of it. So while I think he's not so unhappy that he's going to just walk away, I think we do have to wonder how happy he is. And if he goes to Juventus, he's going to get the players he wants, right? You can say whatever you want about Juventus, but they spend money on wages and players that we don't. So I don't think like, oh my goodness, panic mode, but I think it's something that's in the background that to me makes a lot of sense if we don't do the right things here. That being said, if we do the right things here, I think Conte could be here for a long time. So it's kind of one of the, we've been talking about, a lot of people have said, if we back Conte the way he should be backed, if we do the right things, if we show the ambition that he has, I don't think he's at risk of leaving. But I also realize that I don't think we've done a good job of it so far, and I really doubt that we're going to be doing it going forward, or I have some doubts about it, I should say.
Yeah. Cubed, what about you? Scott hit on some good points. Juventus does have the drawing power. They do have that, they are a big fish in the European market. They do sign players. They do have money. And let alone the name alone, Juventus, draws players. What is your opinion on that? Do you think we should be worried, or do you think it's just too soon?
I think we shouldn't be worried. I think that it's like a non-story. I mean, there's always these rumors, they always float around. In all fairness, like there are two people that there are always rumors about. One is Kane and one is Conte. And that's always been the case. Since we got Conte, like people were like, media, whatever, reporting like, oh, he's going to leave, he's not going to stay long. Remember the PSG rumors? Like around, I think it was around January or something, right after we lost the Burnley game. Pretty much there's all these PSG rumors. Even before Poch got sacked, there are the PSG rumors. So I think that and then Kane, there's always rumors, right? And so I think it's just because they're so important to us, I guess, or people I think that there's this general idea that they're too good for us or something. Like Conte's too good for us of a manager, that he's gonna walk away from us and go to some other club that people are thinking of winter clubs or whatever, right? And so, and I don't think that that's true, but I'm just saying that I think that that's it. It's easy for people to draw that narrative because they feel that is that it doesn't make sense for him to be at our club. But we need to remember he's on contract. He's on contract until the end of the season. In order for Juventus to get him, they need to get Levy to release him from his contract. So, I mean, Levy can fire him, but if he was actually just trying to make a move or transfer over to another club or something, then Levy would have to or then Juventus would actually have to pay a release clause or something for him. So I mean, people need to, I don't know, I feel like it just also the rumors came from a Italian, I think an Italian news or media outlet or something like that, and it's I don't think it's reliable. They were saying he's in Italy. It's of course he's in Italy.
Yeah.
It's literally international break.
They said that they had taken pictures of him wandering the streets of Turin, and I'm like, I mean, he's probably out shopping, or whatever, and then they take pictures of him, and it just gets turned to, oh, he's having meetings with the Juventus board, and I'm surprised we haven't heard shit that oh, there's a contract already on the table and everything like that. So yeah, in my opinion, I mean, we definitely have to be conscious of the fact that Juventus does have the pulling power, but I mean, you guys, I don't think Conte's a quitter. I know he's left teams before, but it's always been because of certain reasons. Now, there's not a reason for him really to get up and leave just yet, and I'm hoping that doesn't actually become the case. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm conscious of the fact that it can happen, but I don't think it's going to happen. Also, I did want to get your guys' opinions on Skip. Scott, how do you first of all do you rate Skip? Do you think that Skip has a starting spot in the midfield if we're playing a two, or is his best bet to wait until we're playing a three in the midfield to get him some game time? What do you think, Scott?
I mean, yeah, I guess it depends when you say rate. I think he's a quality player. I wouldn't start him. I don't have him ahead of Bentancur or Basuma. Those would be my two top midfielders at the club, and I think he could get there. I think he's shown signs that he could actually surpass either one of them. But so far, with what he's shown, I think he's there, and especially not with all the injuries he's had and how much games he's missed. Right? He's going to need a lot of time to get back into to playing and show some more stuff. I think he could work in a two. I mean, I think he's just as good as Hoiberg, and I think he certainly is better on the ball than Hoiberg. So in a two, I could see him working. But again, I just think he needs to play. So I think if when he's getting back, I'd like to see him playing in our. We got some cup games coming up, playing there, coming on as a sub, getting back into game shape because we've seen it with plenty of other players, right? When they're coming back from long-term injuries, it takes time to get ready. And with his youth, I just think that let's just get him back. Let's not expect him to be able to come right up, jump right back into the game, right? He's got to take time.
Yeah.
And I think we almost have to use this year as just getting him back up to where he was almost. And I know that sounds kind of depressing and we all want him to kind of come in and light the world on fire, but I think we have to be realistic about what to expect. He had a pretty bad injury. He had some other injuries, right? I can't even remember how many games he played, but I don't think he played very many at all last year, right? So I just think it's like, let's use this. Let's get him back into shape. Let's get him ready to play. And if he comes on and he's a sub, that's fine. And if he can pass and get if he can get ahead of those guys in the team sheet, that's awesome too. But I expect this year he's going to be mainly used as a sub in those cup games. So I think that's what
Yeah.
I expect out of him.
Cube, are you excited to see Skippy? Do you agree with Scott? Should we kind of wean him on to the, wean him into the club? Or do you think, because Conte obviously loves what he's seeing. That's what the article I pulled up was saying. He loves the way, what he's seeing from Skippy. He also did say that about Jed Spence, and then he comes out and says Jed Spence probably is not going to get any game time. But where do you see Skippy fitting into our midfield, Cubed?
Yeah, I think that Skip is a little bit of a different story from Spence because Skip's been at the club and he's actually worked under Conte as well, since last season. Granted, he was out for injury for most of the season, or at least a large chunk of it, but he still worked under Conte before his injury for a little while. So he isn't completely like new to the tactics, like Spence is. Just kind of like new to the Conte way. And Skip's also been in the Premier League for a little while as well, as opposed to Jed Spence is coming up straight from Championship. So I don't think that the learning curve around the mentality as well as the the tactics is as big compared to Spence. I think that he will get game time. I think we should wean him on. I agree with Scott on that. I think that it's one of those things where he's been out for so long for back-to-back injuries that I don't know. I don't question his resilience and his mentality and desiring to come back strong. We saw him in preseason. He looked good, actually, in preseason games. He looked really sharp. I think some of us were even surprised by how sharp he looked, and he clearly really was excited to play again. So I don't think anybody should question his desire and in that regard. But it's always hard coming back from an injury. So especially since he's been injured for so long, I feel like we have to wean him in. You know what I mean? It's we're already Doherty's has played a few minutes here and there, and he's not 100% fit. I think that Conte is pretty clear about he seems like he's trying to wean him in. So Skippy's the same. I thought Skippy was going to be better in a couple of weeks after the season started, but turned out to be a lot longer than that. So I think he can find his way into like in a midfield too, but I don't think that he'll have game time plenty, even in a midfield too, and he's used to playing in a midfield too as well, but he's not going to start in like a North London derby or something like that if or like a Man City game unless our three other midfielders are injured and if we're still playing in a 3-4-3. I mean, I don't think that he's going to start there, but he'll play plenty of cup games. In theory, if he was 100% fit, he would have played like Leicester, like those kind of games and stuff. He's definitely has an opportunity to start.
Okay. Real quick, I just want to say to Scott M, I appreciate your time, brother. You're always welcome to hop on whenever. If I'm still on when you're done, bro, you're more than welcome to hop on. If not, I definitely will. We'll talk to you later, and I'll see you in the chats. So thank you for your time, bro. Anything you want to say before you hop off?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Skip the Dishes was actually fast for once in its life and got here a lot sooner than I thought. Usually I'm waiting around forever for it. So thanks for having me. I'll be listening in the background, and just in case anybody's worried about the negative comments, you got cubed here. It's not very often I get to be not the most negative commenter on the show. So I always appreciate when Cube comes here. Also another member of the Sun Plastic fan army. So I've newly been minted as part of that group, I guess. So I'll have to
I don't know how that happened.
That banner for us. So thanks for having me, guys, and I will be listening.
Okay.
Right on. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate you, brother. Be cool. Cubed, I know you said you could hop on for a little bit, so whenever you're ready to roll out too, just let me know.
Cool.
Cube, so I have a couple of questions, not necessarily rapid fire, but you don't have to dive too much into it if you don't want to. Our formation that we're going with has been a 3-4-3, and then I'm pretty sure you noticed how we went to a 5-3-2. What is your opinion on that second formation, Cubes?
Yeah, I think that the formation change actually I think affected the game and changed the momentum of the game more than bringing Sonny on. I think everybody just got super excited with Sonny coming on. I mean, everybody knows I love Son, but and I'm not taking anything away from his performance. I mean, clearly he was class, but I just feel like it's actually the formation change that made the biggest impact on the game. And it made the biggest impact on the game to free up, Son and Kane to both have a little bit more freedom up top and get into those positions to score and assist. Because if you remember, Kane was assisting one of Son's goals as well. So I think that, I liked the formation. I liked that Conte was willing to change things up. I think that I don't mind him sticking to the 3-4-3, but I think that if he sees something happening during the game and they're flooding our midfield, or there's some, there are some challenges happening in the game, I think that he should be a little bit more flexible to change the formation and maybe even change it a little earlier. Maybe his starting is always 3-4-3, and then as the game wears on, he can see if it's working or not, and if it's not, make those shifts to a 2 up top, or whatever. Because I feel like the changes he made in the Chelsea game were a little bit too late, because Tuchel and him were kind of going back and forth a little bit, but he took a lot longer to make changes than Tuchel did. So I feel like that kind of hurt us in the Chelsea game.
Yeah, those good points, valid points there, Cubed. I myself, I'm a fan of having the three midfielders playing. For some reason, I know that when we just have the two midfielders, we're getting bossed in the midfield, and that just makes it for such a hard time for the rest of our teammates. Not just the midfielders, but then it's more pressure added on our defensive back three, our wing backs having to come back more, Kane having to drop back, having to drop deep to get the ball. So I really like the way we played with the three in the middle there. We do have an important game coming up, Cubes. Are you glad that we're getting some rest before that game, or would you much rather hit that game in stride, like off of a Champions League match, on a Tuesday and then play on that Saturday? You know what I'm asking?
Yeah. Well, if we're gonna dream about if we're gonna dream and just want everything to be exactly the way we would want it to be, then an ideal scenario would be that we would be playing that North London derby this coming Saturday. So so that the boys would have 1 week of time in between to rest up and work on the tactics that Conte wants to, execute during the game. But we don't live in that world. So, but that would have been like a perfect scenario. But yeah, I mean, international break, kind of like the bad thing is this, that they're not going to be totally rested, because depending on how they're actually, like how far, like for example, like if they're having to fly back like pretty far, distance, then son is having to fly to Korea, right? He's already in Korea, right? I don't know. I think that maybe Richie is playing in Europe. I feel like there's a few players that would have to fly farther away. So that's not really giving them that much rest, because they are having to change, like they might be jet lagged, and they have to like kind of like, like be on a plane for a while and whatever. So that's not the greatest scenario. It might change the momentum a little bit. And then they immediately have to kind of get back into the groove of the Prem, because I feel like it would be great if like Conte has the time to work with them on the tactics going to North London derby. So if it was like only 3 or 4 days apart, I think that would actually be preferable, to your point, because then he would just work with them on tactics and be really prepared going into that North London derby. But any less than that, if we were talking about like 2 days apart, there would be completely no energy for that game. So
yeah. You touched on Sonny going to Korea. I have a couple of questions really quick, and maybe you can help me understand this. Real quick, why does Sonny, when he's there, why does he wave with both of his hands? Is that something that's customary to them out there, or is that just he's just waving double time?
Yeah, no, that's kind of like a cultural thing. Yeah, it is a cultural thing. I don't
kind of like he kind of like ducks down and he
this is
like kind of to bows.
Yeah, it's a cultural thing. I think a lot of so Japanese and Korean, I'm neither Japanese nor Korean, but Japanese and Koreans, they like bow, and even if they don't do a full bow, they bow like a little bit, like, and they keep doing it. Like that's why he keeps doing it. And then they do kind of, in particular, if you're like you're like a celebrity or something like that, you do like the 2 hand wave kind of thing. It's like it is a cultural thing, but a cultural thing, especially for people who are like being very, very polite. So the fact that he does that indicates that he's like extra, I don't know, like
manners.
Yeah. Well, very well mannered is what I'm saying. Yeah.
One other quick question: Sonny with glasses or no glasses? Because I know when he's up there too, he likes to wear his glasses.
I don't know what that's about. I have no idea.
It makes him look nerdy. I mean, it makes him look just more sophisticated, if I'm honest. That's why I wear mine.
Yeah, I don't know. You don't need your glasses, or you do?
No, I do, dude. I do.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I was like, wait, what? I don't know. Maybe.
No, I do.
Maybe he wears contacts when he plays, and then when he's over there, because he's coming off the airplane, when they usually catch him doing that, then he wears glasses, because usually, when they've showed him doing that, is he was coming off the plane or something like that, or he was promoting for his Gentle Monster partnership. I know how you feel about his different sponsorship opportunities. But
I feel that, like, I mean, you have to make money outside of the pitch. I get it. You know what I mean? It's like, it's how we go back and forth. It's just banter,
What do you think about Dyer's like spotless is it Spotless or something, like his company Spotless that he's been like promoting it to.
If I'm honest with you, Cubes, this is the first I'm hearing about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he
What
has
is
like
it?
co-founder of this like company. I feel like it's an app or a site or something where it's kind of like a Yelp kind of thing, like you go and you like
Okay.
review different like restaurants and like, so forth. And then so for like everybody to go and like they can sign on and review it or whatever. I've never like seen it, but I know I've seen him doing like the promotions for it and stuff. And he even dragged Doherty and like Kane to like help him do like a little promotion for it and stuff. And I think it's cool. Like he's got like another business or side business, but it's just kind of funny because I feel like I'm like, don't they have to like have like a ton of like dietary restrictions and like all of that? And I was like, and then he started a business that's kind of like you go to like these nice restaurants and these like things, and he was like, it's like eating pizza and like whatever. And I'm like,
Yeah. He's
yeah,
gonna recommend the greasiest cheeseburger to the rest of his mates.
yeah, exactly. I was like, I was like, they have like so many dietary restrictions that you're just like, I mean, same thing with like Sunny being like a spokesperson for like Tiger beer and like
Yeah.
also like some ice cream brand or something. You're like, but you're not drinking beer and eating ice cream. Come on. Like you got so many dietary
Yeah.
restrictions. So I feel like in these cases you're like, oh, you're just putting money, like your face on something for money, because how are you actually using these things or eating these things because you got way too many dietary restrictions.
Yeah. Well, money talks, Cubes. So I mean, I'm pretty sure he's gonna keep advertising. Anybody would advertise for anything for that matter, if the money's right.
Yeah,
Um,
I know. It's just funny because I'm like the whole thing. Remember when Conte first got to the club and there was this whole thing about like how he like bans ketchup and stuff?
yeah,
Well, like if he's
yeah,
banning ketchup, these boys are not eating pizza and giving reviews on it. Like, do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. No, you're right. Makes sense. That's funny. See here, Clayton Sherman, what's up, bro? I hope that you're doing well. Thank you for tuning in. He says that he thinks his little brother owns it, so he would think maybe Little Dyer owns
Oh,
the
yeah.
company or the app or whatever.
On his IG, it says co-founder of Spotless. That's his
Oh,
description.
okay.
Like under his name, it says co-founder. He's like athlete, and then he's like co-founder of Spotless. So,
Are you on IG?
yeah, I'm on IG. A little nondescript. People think I'm a bot because I
Okay.
don't post anything. But yeah,
Okay, okay. I'm curious to see if I've ever seen your page or not. Do,
probably
do you
not.
follow the Mile High Hotspur or no?
I don't think I do. I don't think I follow anybody really on IG. I'm kind of like nondescript
Okay.
on IG because I used to use it
I
for
know. I
work.
think I've seen your Twitter. I obviously seen your fucking Twitter the other day. So yeah.
You don't want to tell
Uh,
everybody why you've seen my Twitter?
yeah. No, that's fine. You go ahead and tell them, Cubes. I mean, I don't mind. I mean, go ahead.
No, you should tell them
Okay.
why.
Yeah. So I was clipped, right, when we had our conversation about Sunny. I was clipped saying that I think maybe we have seen the best of Sunny. Maybe look, Cubes. I'm gonna say it again.
Go.
Getting older, dude. He's getting older. Like he's not as fast as he was yesterday. I pray to God we do get another golden boot from Sonny, but I just don't see it happening. I just don't see him being as productive as he's been. I think for sure he's past his prime. I don't think he's washed up. I don't think that he's done. I just feel that like the best of Sonny we've already seen. And so Cubes, I believe it was you, Cubes, right? That clipped it.
Yeah, I clipped
Uh,
it.
Yeah, Cubes clipped it and put it on Twitter, and she shared it with a couple of people. And I'm sitting here like driving back from Kansas, and my homie Parker hits me up and he's like, "Hey, Cubes tweeted. Have you seen Cubes tweet?" And I'm like, "No." So I get on because honestly, dude, I don't manage the social media for Mile High Hotspur. The homie does, right? The
Yeah,
homie
yeah.
does all of our Instagram. He does our Twitter. Like I have access to it, so I was able to respond. And so I just really short response said, "Do you want a cookie?" You know, because I just remember that's like when people would say something, you know, they'd be like, "Do you want a cookie?" So I
No,
think,
no,
and then
I knew what you meant, but I was like, I was just responding like, yeah, I like cookies. I'm still waiting
yeah, so
for my cookies, man. I'm still waiting for them.
okay, they have Girl Scout cookies down there, right?
Oh yeah. When is Girl Scout cookie like season? I forget what I think it's spring. Think it's springtime.
Yeah, I think it's late
Anyways,
already,
I'm
but
waiting for those.
my parents. My parents have this big sign outside of their window that says no solicitors, no flyers, no nothing like this. And then in big letters it says, "But yes to Girl Scout cookies."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just, giving you a hard time because after Sonny's hat trick, I went back and yeah, I was pulling receipts for a number of people out there in the Twitter.
Yeah. Pulling.
But,
That's
in
a good
all
way of
fairness,
putting it,
like
dude.
I don't think that like I'm not saying I think that Sonny is gonna get the golden boot this season. I don't think he's gonna get the golden boot this year. I don't think he's gonna he probably won't score as many as he did last year. I already said that, I think, at the very beginning of the season. I said that I think I back Kane actually to get the golden boot. I
Yeah.
mean, Holland's like a monster, but if it's not Holland, I think it's going to be Kane. And I said it like before the season even like really like kicked off, right? And I just feel like it's really hard for Sonny to have the momentum that he did last season simply because now Kane is firing. So last season, Kane was not
Yeah.
firing as much. So Sonny kind of beat him out, right? But now with Kane firing, which I knew he was, like before the season started, I was like, of course he was, because he's going to come back with a vengeance because he knew he had an off season last season. His
Yeah.
own fault, mind you. He decided to just he just like didn't turn up for the first half of the season.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he would have actually gotten the boot, I think, because with him taking pens and everything, he would have gotten the boot if he had performed the way he did at the back of the season, like the back half of the season. If he had performed that way at the first half of the season, then I think Kane ultimately still would have won the boot because he takes pens. So, but anyways, I think that in that situation, I feel like because you got Kane kind of like, taking pens, firing. You have Decky who can, get a shot off. Richie can get a shot off. There's a lot more people that are on that pitch that can score versus last season. So they're going to have less reliance on Sonny scoring, which we already have had less reliance on Sonny scoring because he hasn't been firing right all season thus far, and we've still been winning games. So I already thought that he wasn't going to get the same like number that he did last season. But to me, you're saying that he's past his prime. The reason why I was like, clip this and everything is because I don't really feel like just because he is going to score less goals or he's not going to get the boot, that means he's past his prime. Because I don't think that your
Yeah.
prime is like, one season, unless he downturns to the extent like he's getting like 9 goals this season and then never comes back and gets any more any more than that. So then I feel like that would be a consideration of like you're past your prime, right? Like Vardy's past his prime, right?
Yeah. He's
So,
been, but he's been.
yeah, he's past his prime, right? So
Yeah.
I think that and Mane had a down season. Like Mane had a season where he won the boot without any pens, and then the season after that, he actually downturned, and people were like, "What's going on?" He didn't have a very good season. And then last season, he actually didn't have as many goals, but he actually played really, really well, and he really like shot back up as well, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that like Mane was past his prime over the last like 3 years, right, or 2 years. He just wasn't maybe wasn't scoring as much or wasn't playing the same way. So I think we have a whiles out before Son is past his prime, even if he doesn't score as many goals.
How many players in their 30s can you say are not past their prime, Cube?
Well, I think that Son is 30 right now, right?
Yeah, he's 30.
So,
yeah, I mean,
so
and that's what I base.
Salah is 30. I think he's 30 or 31, something like that.
I think he's past his prime too, though.
30, 31. I think that Mane is as well. I think
past his prime.
Lewandowski's definitely a lot older than that. Lewandowski's what, 35? He had maybe arguably his 35 though. You said 30s. Lewandowski had one of the best seasons ever. Only 2 years ago when he was like what, 32, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kane is 29 though, but he's not 30 yet. So we're just talking about 30 and up, right?
30s,
so
no, I mean, I'm curious to know how you feel about, because that was the basis for my argument.
Ronaldo's 37. So yes, Ronaldo's past his prime, but 7 years ago, I think that 7 years ago he wasn't necessarily, so it's kind of like, I feel like with some players, they have a longer like track, right? So I feel like, if you say they get past their prime in their 30s, yeah, there are definitely a lot of players that once they hit 30 or right before they're 30, they're not in their prime anymore. But there are a lot of players, especially the elite players, they don't hit, they don't go past their prime until like maybe like 33, or whatever, right? So I just feel like he just turned 30, like only a few months ago. I just feel like saying that he's past his prime.
Like, is he in his prime right now, Cube? Is he in his prime right now then?
Yeah, I think he is. I mean, if you look at, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think he's going to get a lot better than this, but I think he's in his prime still. Maybe give it.
He won't decrease so dramatically, is what you're saying, or what you think?
Yeah. I mean, maybe give it another year or two. I mean, I feel like the hat trick. I mean, he needs to kick on from the hat trick. Don't get me wrong, and who knows if he's going to. But like, I believe he will. By the way, but the fact that he scored that hat trick, where he was clinical about those shots, like those were worldies. The two of those were
good goals.
Worldies. Yeah, they were. Yeah, they were like pure beauties, right? And one of them was exactly like goal he scored last season against Leicester.
I did see that where they put the two videos next to each other, and it was literally like the same shot in the same spot same spot of the goal.
And then 2 years ago, I think it was either Leicester away or at Wembley. Like 2 years before that, he scored a goal against Leicester that was exactly the same. And if you compare those three shots, they're pretty much exactly the same. But if you look at the slight details, actually this shot was harder than the previous one, which was harder than the previous one, because he was a little bit, ever so slightly more central in the first one. And then the second one, he was, a little bit more to the side. And then this one, he was even more to the side, So I think, like, if anything, you can be like, well, if he's past his prime, then he wouldn't be getting shots off like that, So
True. I mean, Cubes, I always respect your opinion. Sometimes I don't agree with them, but I mean, I'll let you know. But I definitely agree with everything you're saying. And so when Son scored the hat trick, dude, like, a couple of days later, I put out my video, and I even said, even before, like a couple of weeks ago when I was calling for Sonny to come off of the bench, I've always said, bring him on in the later minutes. I know you remember me saying this, Cube. Bench him, not to not have him play, but to come on in the later minutes when he could really fucking attack the opponent and score some goals. And I'm just so glad, dude, that like I'm so glad this turned out the way it did. Like, I'm so glad he didn't just score one goal. It would have been enough with that one worldie, the first goal, let's be honest. But to have another worldie, and then, he didn't get lucky on the third goal. I mean, he had to place that shot where he put it, and it took a deflection off of the goalkeeper. But I mean, that's a shot on target. Like, he meant to score that goal because he put it on target. So just the fact that he came through with the hat trick was just, man, what else could you ask for? Were you
Oh, and C.
were you
Sherman.
shocked that he got a hat trick?
C. Sherman makes a good point. KDB, would you say KDB is past his prime because he's 31?
I
So
think here's my opinion on that one, Cubed. Kevin De Bruyne is I think if you're playing in the midfield, your prime is probably a little later because your legs aren't as used as a forward, right?
yeah,
Or as a winger. So I
yeah,
think
I
the
agree.
lifespan
Go
the
ahead, sir.
lifespan on a midfielder is definitely a lot longer. And to be honest, Cubed, I think you don't hit your prime until your later years when you've gotten that experience, when you've gotten that knowledge, when you've gotten all that seat time playing in the middle there, and you're able to pick those balls apart. So yeah, KDB is definitely he's not past his prime. He's probably still in his prime, but for sure, I think we've seen the greatest part of KDB for sure, I think.
Yeah, so that's what I'm getting at though, like, because you were saying like, oh, how many are like, past their prime when they're in their 30s, right? And so my point is
Yeah.
that when they're 30, I feel like there's a lot of players that are in their prime, like right when they're like 30, right? 20, anywhere from like 28 to like maybe 32, I think is
Yeah.
usually like around the time that they're still in it. So that's what I was getting at, is that Sonny just turned 30 a few months ago. So I don't think he's past his
Yeah.
prime. I think he's in his prime. But you make a good point about like wingers and runners, like in general. I think that
Yeah.
like the thing with it is that I worry about that about Sonny because and I don't want to spend the entire time talking about Sonny, but like kind of it relates to others as well, is that he is a runner and he does rely so much on his pace, which I feel like I wish he didn't, but especially in a Conte system, he has to, because Conte wants everybody to track back, and except for, I mean, Kane tracks back, but not really, because when we do a 3-4-3, we're really doing a 3-4, 2-1. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
Kane
Yeah.
doesn't have
Yeah.
to back as much. And then when they're saying, oh, he's dropping deep, he doesn't drop that. He's not dropping deep to defend. He's not dropping deep to our box. He just drops deep to like midfield, to the
Yeah.
midline, right? So he just kind of stays in that midfield area, and so because of that, he doesn't actually, which is why, I mean, I think that in part, the reason why he plays 90 minutes every game is partially because, we have so much reliance on him. We don't want to take him off the pitch because he's so great, and et cetera, right? But then also the reason why he plays the full 90 minutes, just like Højbjerg, is because, and also like a lot of our defenders, is because they don't have to move around as much. So like you think about who Conte has taken off, typically, like, and I'm not even just talking about like this season, I'm saying like last season, right? So regardless of performance, right, who does he take off like at the 70? It's always like the 70-minute mark, by the way. Like he's pretty consistently 70-minute mark. So who does he take off? He always takes off Son, Decky, any runners, basically any runners. So both of those guys get taken off, and you can't say, oh, because they're performing badly. No, like Son was performing really well last season, Decky was as well, and he would take them off at the 70-minute mark to rest their legs. And he said it before too, is like rest their legs because they're runners. So I think that I do worry a little bit about just Son's reliance on, he's gotten so reliant on his pace that he has, I mean, much despite what people, like say, I don't agree with them, that, he doesn't have like good, like skills on the ball or dribbling. I think he actually does. I mean, how can you not, when you've been, since you were a child, told that you have to do 4+ hours of kicky ups, like he's got skill on the ball. What happens is that starting to rely so heavily on his pace that he uses his pace to beat a man or to get past someone, a defender or whatever, instead of using dribbling, skills.
Yeah.
So if you rely so heavily on your pace, then your other skills will start to drop off a little bit. And also eventually, to your point, Leo, like your pace is going to go away. Like that's without a doubt, right? So eventually it's going to go away. So the question is not as much as is he in her prime, but more like how long is he going to take, or at what point is he going to change his game? Like the players that have the most longevity are players who are able to kind of evolve their game over time, right? Even if you look at like Ronaldo, he used to be he used to be pretty pacey. He used to run back and forth, up and down. Now, any team that wants to get Ronaldo, they already know that the stipulation is he stays up top. He doesn't track back very much, and he just stays there, and just waits for you to just give him the ball. Like he doesn't even assist anymore. He had 1 assist all season last season, so he doesn't even. Dude. Yeah, so people that are saying like, "Oh my gosh, Ronaldo, he carried the team last season." I mean, yes, but he didn't have any assists. Like people that were trying to big up him last season, like. The goal contributions he had were exactly the shots he had, which was still not the Golden Boot, right? So I'm not trying to shit on Ronaldo whatsoever, by the way. But that's like blasphemous. But like I'm just saying, like he has evolved his game because he is like 37, right? So because of that, he just stays up top and he just waits for somebody to give him the ball so that he could shoot. And that's because he's older, right? So, I mean, it's all about how the longevity is all about how you evolve your game. And the same thing with Kane as well. Like Kane is really smart in that he evolved his game mainly under Jose because he was starting to lose his pace, probably because he kept getting injured and he kept having the same injury over and over again. Ever since he got injured a couple of times and pretty much the same injury, right? He started to, I don't know if you noticed, he like slowed down, right? He started slowing down a little bit. He also started relying less on his pace, and he started to just evolve his game into hey, I'm going to drop deeper, and I'm going to be that quarterback of the team. I'm going to be the quarterback of the team. We all know that he loves
Brady.
Yeah, he loves Brady. So he probably took a little bit of inspiration from Brady. So he he evolved his game mainly under Jose. I'm sure Jose helped him actually even evolve his game a little bit to be that Brady kind of quarterback of the team. And that's how he's playing now. And that's how he's going to have longevity. He's going to last. Kane's going to last a long time because he evolved his game. Now Sonny's just got to do it too.
Yeah. Real quick, Cubed. Clayton Shearman says Benzema, Lewandowski, and Immobile. I'm assuming these are all that Benzema's getting up there in age too. They're all players that had their prime a little bit later, and forward playing players. Immobile too. He's up there in age, and he's still banging them in. And then also too, John Fitzpatrick. What's up, my man? KDB is at the peak of his prime, as is Kane and Son. What do you think of this comment here? The squad still needs 4 to 5 top players. Just hope Levy backs Conte in January. Otherwise, I don't think he will be here next season. I mean, I'm pretty sure you agree, right? We need to definitely bring some players in January to show the ambition and to show, our trust in Conte, right?
I don't think we need as many as 5. I feel like if we just had like 3, I think we'd be in a good spot. I feel like we would have said maybe 5 at the beginning of this, like if we would have said like 5 middle of this last transfer window or beginning of this past summer or something. So I think that, we've gotten like 2 who've made like a real impact right now, which would be Richie and Perisic, right? And so I think that like if we had said like 5 real like quality players at the beginning of the season, or sorry, the beginning of the transfer window this summer. So that's 2, right? So if we got like 3 more that are going to make like a real like impact, right? And a big impact, then I feel like we'd be okay. We need a quality right wing back. We need a quality, left center back, quality center back. I think that will be really, really good if we had those 3 positions. Then I think we would be pretty solid and be able to really compete. And I don't think we're going to get that 3. We might be able to get like 1 or 2 in the January transfer window at most. I think 3 is too much. That not necessarily too much to ask, but I mean like too much to anticipate. You know, I imagine that we're not going to get that in January.
Yeah, John Fitzpatrick also added, we need a right wing back, 2 center backs, a center mid, and another striker. So I think that's where he gets his.
Richie is a striker, though.
Yeah,
I know that we're talking about like basically another forward is I think what you're kind of getting to, because people that are saying we don't have a quote backup striker, I think that that's like not true, because I think Richie can play the role, does play the role, is probably even more used to playing that role than Sonny is even, and can play the role pretty good in the sense that he has a little bit more physicality than Sonny and could probably be a little bit better as a target man. So I think Sonny's a little bit more of a little bit stronger of a runner than a striker kind of role. But yeah, I mean, I think we would be okay. Like, I mean, it's not like I don't want 5. Like, yeah, we need 5 in the sense of like to plug
could help us for sure.
Yeah, like if we got 5, that would be like plugging the holes, right? All of the holes, right? And that would be from a numbers perspective, we'd be in a good place. But I meant like we would be able to compete with 3 is what I'm getting at. Like we don't need 5 to be able to be like competitive and really like be like there are so many problems, you know, like our fan base is like there are so many problems, right? But like if we had 3, I think we'd be pretty happy and then just be looking forward, you know.
So good points. Very good points, Cubed. So I'm gonna start wrapping this up, Cubed. Just got a couple of questions. You know, how do you? I know the game is still a week and a half, or a week and some change away, but what do you think is going to happen in the North London Derby? How do you envision our lineup? And what do you envision as a result?
Yeah, I think we're gonna start. I think we're gonna start Sonny, Kane, and Dickey. I hope he starts those 3. I think he's gonna do 3-4-3. But because that's how we won against them last North London Derby. I think everything, to a certain I mean, people say that form goes out of the window in a North London Derby. I, kind of agree with that. But I think that like some of it is like, I mean, Richie's never experienced a North London Derby, right? Basuma's never experienced the North London Derby, at least with these guys.
Well,
like
he has seen a Merseyside Derby, which I mean, you can if you're from Liverpool, if you're from that part of the UK, then you could probably, we think the North London Derby is hectic because we're fans of one of the teams in there. Now, if you ask somebody from the Merseyside Derby, they might say different. So he has experienced the Merseyside Derby before.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point, but it's not the same. Let's be honest. I mean, yeah. I think that most fans would agree that like the North London Derby is the Derby. Like that is like in the most fierce. It's the most competitive, and also Everton. The gap between Everton and Liverpool have been so big for so long.
That's a good point.
That it's not competitive in that same way. Like
this one means a lot. This one coming up, Cubes, means a lot. You know what I mean? We're both right there at the top of the table. Like this could make or break, So yeah, you're definitely right. Right now, Everton and Liverpool are freaking they're at different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, and they were last season when Richie was at Everton. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying that he can't handle it or that he doesn't have experience in like some high pressure games. I'm not saying that, but we know that with the squad that was there last year that won that game, we know that they can handle it because they won that game, The other thing is I think that, there's a little bit more of just like a fear situation, with like somebody like Sonny coming on. If you remember, like Holding couldn't keep his head so much that he was that Sonny had him in his pocket, and then when he went to the dressing room, he's like, oh, why are we doing 1v1? I mean, like, I actually watched a little bit of Leicester fans like watch along to the game, and like they were like, Leicester fans were ecstatic when they found out that Sonny was benched, FYI. So they were like ecstatic. And then on the watch along, whatever, when Sonny was getting ready to come on, like I remember seeing one fan go like, oh, well, here comes trouble. You know what I mean? So it's like, even though Sonny was off form, he still instills fear, right? So you want that for a North London derby. Like you want that to be in the face of some of these, gooners. And then especially since he just scored a hat trick, like you want that to be part of the goons kind of thing. And you want that threesome of, Decky and Sonny and Kane, who we know clicked really well last season as well, to be there. I think the only real big change we have probably is going to be, obviously Romero is going to come in for Sanchez. And I think that's the only like actual like change that we're going to see compared to the last North London derby we went to. I wanted to bring up something that C. Sherman said about Benzema and Lewandowski. I did mention Lewandowski as well, but something about the Prem is that the Prem is, you notice that a lot of these strikers that we're talking about that are like in mid-30s that are like banging them in and doing so great and everything, like Benzema, like Lewandowski.
They're always in other leagues.
They're in other leagues. That's what I was going to say. I think it's harder to do it and maintain it in the Prem because everything moves so much faster. Like all the players even say it, the Prem is, people just move faster, so it's a lot harder to do it in the Prem.
Yeah, that is a good point. He also did say that he thinks Kane will age like Benzema, which that would be fucking awesome for us, having Kane play until his, late 30s maybe. I mean, for all fans, that's just
maybe mid-30s, but who knows?
Yeah. Well, at least to break Alan Shearer's record, and I think he's gonna retire off somewhere, play maybe MLS, or who knows, maybe he'll become a kicker for an NFL team. Who knows?
Everton, Everton and Liverpool, but going into Everton and Liverpool is not the same. Do you know what I mean? Like that, even if whether they beat them or not, it's not the same because of the amount of just like anticipation going into it. Because so if you come to, like, for example, with us and Man City, right, in the past, right, we were not as good as Man City, like as a team. Like it's like, you just know. So as a result, we've been able to just sort of be like, all right, well, we're just gonna, put it all on the line, go for it. If we lose, nobody's gonna blame us for it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's gonna be like what of course, like whatever, when you go into a game that you're expected to lose, then I don't feel like the pressure is kind of as much, as opposed to like if you're like kind of close, if you're like, oh, it looks like it could be a draw, like the Chelsea, and us game, Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, I mean, look, the one thing I will have to say to all that is I think Richarlison would definitely help us out a lot more with his shithousery, especially in a North London derby. That would definitely rattle some cages. Either way, the way, whatever the lineup is, Cubes, I'm going to support the team. I might bitch and moan for a little bit, but as soon as the whistle blows, then that's all out the fucking window, and I'm supporting the 11 that are on the pitch. Real quick, Cubes, do you think Hugo's going to be playing or no?
Who? Sorry?
Hugo.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It depends on.
Are you reading into that injury too much, or is that just another one of those things that just like, maybe precaution?
Yeah, they acted like it wasn't that serious. Like they specifically were like, oh, it's a minor, concern. But they always do, like they do that a lot. Like they did that with like Skippy before too. They were like, oh, it's a minor thing. And then it ended up being like, it's still like, it's 2 months out or like, whatever. And he still hasn't played. And barely made the bench. And like, I think that like they do that a lot. So I'm hoping that it's not as bad. It's not bad. The good thing is that he's in London. Like they sent him home, so it's not like he's still in France. Like he's in London, he's resting up, he's seeing the Spurs docs, you know, as opposed to whatever doctors that they have in France. And so I think that that is a better scenario for us. So I hope he plays because I don't know if I mean, Fraser Forster's a tree, you know, he could probably do a job, but I don't know if like I totally trust him in that.
Yeah. He's
Like,
not Hugo. He's not Hugo for sure.
yeah, you know, he's definitely not Hugo. And I think Richie, by the way, I think Richie will play, you know, like regardless.
Yeah.
Like he'll be brought on as a sub at the very least. If he doesn't start, he'll be brought on as a sub. And vice versa.
Yeah.
If he starts,
Oh yeah, I was
then
gonna say or vice versa. Yeah.
somebody else, whoever's sitting out is going to be brought on as a sub. So
Okay.
that shithousery you're looking for will probably happen regardless.
It definitely will take place for sure. Well, Cubes, I'll definitely try and have you on before the North London Derby because I want to, you know, we'll dive into that later on more and into, you know, deeper. And then I definitely would like to get like your when the time is right, you know, we'll get a predicted lineup and shit like that, and then get your score prediction. So you have some time to think about it. I know Brian Daigle and Bobby K might we're probably gonna come on, but I'm gonna wrap the show up. It's nice to see Brian Daigle in the comments. I'm glad you made it, brother. Just real quick, Sherman said normally when guys finish the game, the likelihood of them missing the next game is much lower. Yeah. So Cubes, I appreciate you taking time out of your evening to hop on the stream. Thank you. I know it was last minute. This whole stream was kind of just last minute. I do want to wrap it up because I know the homies from United Spurs of America are going to be streaming, and the last thing I want to do is to be streaming, you know, at the same time, so that way they have their spot. But you know, if Cubes, are you going to be on with Tottenham away on Friday?
Yeah, I am. And thanks for having me. Yeah, so I'll be listening in to United Spurs of America. That's going to be on in like 30 minutes. So I'm not going to be on, I'll just be listening in. And then I will be on Tottenham Way on Friday, same bat time, same bat channel. I'm there every Friday. And then yeah, and then I'm usually on Will Stewart's channel whenever he has a stream. So yeah, thank you for the bat signal.
Yeah, you got some work to go do, Cubes. That's what that means when that's out there. You got some work to do.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me and letting me
for sure.
just off.
No, thank you. It's been a pleasure, Cubes. I know that you and I have had not the smoothest of relationship in the chats, and so I wanted to take, you know, just this time to invite you onto my show, dude. I wish Parker would have been here to you know, to chat with us, but Cubes, the door is always open for you. You don't need an invitation. If you see that I'm streaming and you want to come on and hop on, just let me know. And again, I'll always reach out and send you the link if you want to join. And so yeah, like I said, I look forward to having you on another stream. Any last before we sign off?
Just come on, you Spurs.
Yeah, come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Spurs.